Hey everybody, it's Jay here, and today I'm talking about being trans in school. I'm particularly qualified to talk about this because I've been going to the same school for the last 4 years. This is my 4th year, and for the first 2 I was living as a girl in school, and then for the second 2, this one included, I've been living as a boy. So I've spent a full year out as trans in school, and I'm in my 2nd year of being out as trans in school. How I came out in the first place was that, I was already out to my parents at that time. I had come out to my parents in March of 2014, and then during the summer of that year, I kind of tested the waters with my parents, and I was like, is it okay for me to come out in school? And they were like, yeah, sure, how do you suggest we do that, kind of thing. And I asked, there was another trans guy in my school at the time, and I asked him, well, he wasn't in my school at the time, but he had been in my school, and I asked him what he had done to come out in school, because he was out in school, and he said that for him, what he did was his parents contacted the school, and the school kind of took it from there. So that's what my mum did. My mum contacted the school. There was a meeting set up between her, my year head, and I can't remember if it was the principal or the vice principal. Probably the vice principal, because the principal is always busy. So they had a meeting and they discussed a few important aspects of me coming out and how it would be done and what it would be done like and how it would be dealt with. And then it just kind of happened and everybody moved on. Teachers were told via email. They were just told that I was using a new name, Jay. I was using he pronouns. I was to be treated like any other guy in my class. Blah blah blah. Pretty simple. Students were told pretty much the same thing in an announcement in form class, which I was allowed to skip. I didn't want to be there. I knew it would be kind of awkward for me to be sitting there while the teacher talked about me at the front of the room, so I was allowed to skip the class. Yeah, it was just basically along the lines of Jay's trans, Jay's a boy, use he pronouns, call him Jay. Ta-da. That was basically it. For a lot of the teachers, I think for a lot of people in my form class at the time, that was the first they'd heard of it kind of thing. Some people knew. Some people have been told. Some people I had told them myself. Some people probably could have guessed it. But I think there was probably a few people there who it was the first they'd heard of it. And I think there was probably a few people in my year group who kind of offended that I didn't tell them before I came out to everyone at once, more than likely. But I don't really mind at this point because it's been a year. Get over it if you're still butthurt. It went really well for me. I was really worried that I knew that teachers would be okay because the principal and the vice principal and a lot of my other teachers I knew were very accepting people, and therefore if some teacher was giving me problems, I would be able to go to them and they wouldn't have a problem dealing with that, Whereas it was students I was more worried about because I know that other kids can be assholes, I know that other teenagers can be assholes, and I knew that by coming out I was going to be risking something. I was going to be risking bullying. And to be honest, I didn't care because I needed to come out. It was what I needed to do. It was what I had to do. And I wasn't going to be able to survive life if I had to keep living as I was. So I don't regret it. And even if I had been bullied, I don't think I would have regretted it because I had to be done. That's the way I saw it. It had to be done. It went well, as I said. No one really reacted negatively. I know there's some people who don't like trans people in my year, and I know who they are, and I can avoid them. It's easy. I know I've gotten the vibes off them, and I just steer clear. That's what I do. Yeah. I made it clear that when I came out that I was okay with people asking me questions about the situation, because I knew that a lot of people would never have heard of trans people before. A lot of people would have no idea what it meant or what was really going on. So I made it clear that if somebody wanted to ask me something, they were absolutely allowed to, and I didn't really mind. That it was perfectly okay to me to ask a question. And when people came to me to ask questions and they were like, I don't know if this is offensive or not, I was like, look, if it's offensive, I'll tell you, but I'll answer your question anyway, because it's not like you can know. Because I acknowledge that these people didn't know anything, and that if they said something mean, that they probably didn't mean it, because they probably just didn't know it was mean. It was as simple as that, and I understood that. So that kind of helped that go a lot better, because people were more comfortable asking me questions, because I knew I wasn't going to jump down their throats. What kind of questions did I get? I'm trying to think now. I definitely got one guy who thought I was the other trans. He thought I was a trans woman, I think, because he asked me if I had a penis, and I was like, that's not how this works. I know that there were other people who asked me, like, how would I be able to make myself look more like a guy, and I was like, well, yeah, there's hormones and stuff. And some people were like so revolutionized by this idea of hormone therapy. They were like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah, I know. It was a great way. Yeah, those were really the only kind of questions I got. I got questions along the lines of, if a girl dates you, does that make her gay? I got ones about my body, and I got ones about transitioning. And to be honest, none of those questions really bothered me at all, because I knew that people just didn't know the answers, and that's the only reason why they asked. I think the most important part to talk about when coming out in school is how to deal with problems if something goes wrong. I firmly believe that your best option, always and forever, is to talk to the person first. So let's say somebody says something horribly offensive. I have had people I know say things that hurt me, and some of those people, I've said it to them and I've been like, you can't say that, or that really hurt me, or that was an ignorant thing to say, or that this is offensive to me, or blah blah blah. I have said it to some of these people. I haven't said it to all of them. Some of these people, it was a situation where it was so soon after I was coming out, I wasn't confident enough yet to say anything, so I just let it slide. But mostly now, if somebody causes a problem, I say it to them, because I'm not here to take your shit, you know? I'm not here to deal with your problems and the problems that you have with me, because that's your problem, not my problem, that kind of thing. If it comes to teachers, that's when it gets more complicated. You need to try and find a teacher that's on your side. I know which teachers like me. I know which teachers are on my side. I know which teachers, when I say something is happening to them, they will take it seriously. I know that the majority of the time, it works best if you say something to the person directly, because most of the time, they're surprised that you've said anything. Not because they don't think they've offended you, but because they didn't think you would. And the minute you start putting up a fight, normally, people back off, because they're lazy. They don't want to put in effort. By being an asshole and you just kind of being offended by it and not doing anything about it and just getting upset about it, that kind of like makes it fun for them, because there's no resistance. They can just keep doing it. But if you resist it and you push back against it, then people stop wanting to do it, because it suddenly becomes an effort for them. So I found that, yeah, basically confronting someone when they say something offensive can be a good option. But obviously, if you don't feel like you can do that, do go to a teacher that is on your side, because that's always gonna do something for you. But always be wary of the fact that, by and large, the people you're talking to aren't trans, normally. The majority of the people you're talking to about this are cis, and probably a lot of them don't understand sometimes what makes something offensive. Like, I've had people say that they don't understand why certain things have offended me, or why certain things shouldn't be said. And I get that, because they're not on the receiving end, they don't have the experience, they don't really understand it. So I can understand how sometimes people don't get why what they said hurt you. So you do have to bear that in mind sometimes. They might not understand, and they might come at it from the wrong angle. Like, a teacher wasn't using my pronouns, I went to another teacher about it, and then that teacher was like, yeah, well, your mum doesn't use your pronouns either all the time. And I was like, yeah, But my mum's known me for 15 years and has used she pronouns for me for 14 years. She has an excuse to make mistakes. This teacher's only known me for 2 years and she only sees me like 3 times a week. My mum sees me every day, you know? My mum has more of a reason to have trouble swapping pronouns than my teacher does. So, yes, this is a really long video about being trans in school, but I think videos about being trans in school need to be long because otherwise you miss out on some of the information. And if anyone wants to ask me questions about this, hit me up because I have dealt with this. Like, I'm still very much known as a trans person in school, not just a plain old guy. And I think that after a while, I will stop being seen as a trans guy and just a guy, and then move into just be seen as a guy, because currently I don't visually fit in with a lot of the guys, because a lot of the guys would be further along in puberty than me, but because of the fact that I've started on T now, I am starting to fit in more with the other guys, like in terms of like my physical body and my looks, which kind of will probably lead to people eventually just forgetting the trans part. So yeah, if you like this video, you should like it, and if you want to see more videos like this, you subscribe. I hope I pointed to the right corners, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, thank you and bye.